Good evening. This is David Lynn, also known as the Prepper Principal. It is 7 p.m. Monday, March the 4th, 2024, and this is the 167th edition of Coffee Talk Live. The Black Widow, good evening. Thank you for coming. Hope you're having a wonderful week. I know I am. It was a very good day. And Belinda's Country Living. Hello, Belinda. Joseph Moore. Welcome, Joseph. I did my paperwork today, just waiting now on to 4,000. How long did it take you to do your paperwork? KP Heathen, welcome. Thank you for like number 5, my friend. Yeah, congratulations. I saw where you passed 3,000. That's great. Thank you, Heathen. And congratulations, you passed 500. That's recently. Took 5 minutes. Well, then I need to do mine because they sent me my notice a couple of weeks ago and I still hadn't done it. Holly Ivans, welcome Holly Ivans, and welcome the Bud Files. Appreciate all of y'all coming in. Took you 10 minutes. Yeah, it'll probably take me about 15 or 20. If it took you ladies 5 to 10 minutes, it'd probably take me 15 or 20. I'm not the man I used to be as far as intellectually, when it comes to. I'm not as sharp as I used to be. A lot slower. So I ordered a Haley's Bible study. I don't know if you've heard of Haley's Bible Handbook, but I've got a Haley's Bible Handbook I've had forever, and it's falling apart on me. And I said, I'm going to go online, Amazon, and I'm going to look at getting a new Haley Bible Handbook. And I was looking down through them, and I purchased a hardcover Haley. It's a New International Version, NIV, which is what I studied back in college back in the day when I was taking classes through Howard Payne, religion classes or theology classes through Howard Payne. The pastor, well, actually, he was an associate pastor at First Baptist Church in Corpus Christi. His name was Dan Harlan. It's been over 40 years, and I still remember his name. We used a New International Version is what we used, and I still have that Bible that I used in my classes, and I have the Haley Bible Handbook that I used in my classes. And I don't have the textbooks anymore because we had textbooks. I don't have those anymore, but I do have the Bible that I used, and I do have the handbook I use, and they're both coming apart on me. So I, mom of four boys, thank you for coming in, mom of four boys. The ungrateful peasant, welcome. Becoming dangerous. Eight likes, six in the house. So I have been going through looking for books and looking at books and such, and I've been ordering here and there. I'll show you some more that I have coming in when they come in. I'm trying to get a decent library together of stuff that would be helpful if you didn't have the internet, and if you could not Google or do searches and such. I'm trying to get my paper together. And I've got so many books. I used to read a lot, and I used to purchase hardcovers. I'd purchase paperbacks, but I used to read a lot of fiction. I would read science fiction, fantasy, horror. I've got a bunch of first edition books from back in the days, when they were being put out. Hillbilly Josh, welcome, Hillbilly Josh. And I'm trying to get together I'm trying to get together stuff for my emergency library, and I expect that I'll have some more in the near future that'll be coming in. So I've been ordering a lot of freeze dried. Right now I'm focusing on beverages. So, and I've got tons of it already, but I've been buying number 10 cans. And I've been working on Little Lone Prepper. Welcome. And I've been working on beverages, so I like powdered milk and Orange Delight, which is I guess it's like a sweeter beverage. Um, Freeze dried coffee, freeze dried moo milk, which would be chocolate milk. And I'm trying to build up a supply of those. And there are other things I've been purchasing, but I mean, I'm focusing right now on buying number 10 cans pretty much. And I'm trying to get depth in that. So you never know. Something happens, you got to make sure you have what you need. And as I um, am able to, I went over today. I went to Office Depot, trying to find boxes that I stopped by on the way to work to get boxes, and they didn't have the size that I need. What they had was either too small or way overly too big. So I did not buy them. um, I'll go back to, or what I'll break down. I'll go over to the other. If they don't have it over at the Walmart where I live, I'll drive the 6 miles on the other side of town, and I'll go to the Walmart over there. It's closer to 7 actually. Um, but I'll go over there and I'll see if I can get several boxes. I have the components, and I'm just I don't know. I'm just sort of tired, and had a very good day at work. I had a couple of students. I have 5 students, and a couple of them were absent today, so I only had 3. And you think, well, why does he only have like 5 students? Well, these are kids that are like the explosive and challenging. You never know. Some days they all behave, and some days you'll have one of them go off. And God help you if you have 2 of them go off. Because it's not fun. Had one go off this past week, and you know got rough with three of the employees. You know, and that wasn't good. I wasn't there. I was in my room. I was shorthanded. I was short a para. There's one para that was there. What you call it, discipline manager, or basically a behavioral manager, and they sent her out, and the administrators decided they were going to take care of it. And if they'd have been smart, they'd left her in there, and they probably would have. I wasn't able to go, and I wasn't able to send the second para because that second para was doing something else, So it's like I was shorthanded, and I can't leave the kids alone. So it was not fun. But oftentimes that's what happens. Uh, Having to leave, pick up my grandson. Hey, Belinda, be safe. Appreciate you. What a screen. Can anyone recommend a hand crank grain mill? Uh, if you look on my community wall, if you look on my community post and go back maybe a month or so, I've got one. It's about $45, and manual, um, grinder. Yes, and I have it up on my community wall, and then I'll see if I can. Who asked me that? Little Lone Prepper. Who? Belinda. Let me see. Who asked me that one? Holly Ivans. Holly, I think I've got your number, so I will see if I can text you an image of it, because I think I saved it. It's in my memory. I think I saved it, and I can send you some information on it. And I only recommend things that I have or things that I buy myself. So it's for a manual. And the other thing is, it's not a huge, so you can grind, and you can grind it at a decent rate, but it's like, if you're trying to feed an army, it's going to take you forever to grind for an army. So you take that into consideration. But a manual, it's a decent one. It's a decent sized one, and like I said, if you go back and just fall back into my community wall post, you'll see an image of it with the price, and it was an Amazon purchase, and that I can't guarantee the price right now. I'd have to go research it, but that's probably from something that's like maybe a month or 5-6 weeks ago. Been a while back since I put that up. That's true. You want to get something good. So 9 in the house, 10 likes. Um, So right now, I would encourage everybody to figure out how you're going to purify your water. Let's say the water goes off. You're going to have some water stashed. You're going to have some bottles. You'll have some jugs of it. But what happens when you go through that? What are you going to do for your water? Now, you can get a Sawyer or a Life Straw. I have several of them, and they'll, you got a carry bag or whatever. You can put it with your carry bag, and it'll go fit in a pocket, and you can filter like it'll hold like a liter. It'll hold like a couple of half liters of water in it, and you can use that to filter stream water, lake water, whatever. You got a water source, clean your water. You don't want pool water. You don't want to shut your kidneys down. You don't want to use pool water that's been chlorinated and everything, heavily chlorinated. You do not want to do that. So rainwater, if you got a catchment system, you can filter rainwater, whatever. And then there's also purification tabs. You take a liter of 32 ounces, quart of water. You put in a purification tab, let it do its thing for 30 minutes. You put in a second one, it's like a part A and a part B. Let it do its thing for another 30 minutes, and then, it'll be safe to drink. MB Heritage Farms, thank you for coming in. But food and water are going to be the two primary things that you're in, and then if you take medication, if you take something that keeps you going, like if you're like me and you've got a heart condition, your blood pressure, or you've got kidney situation, or diabetic or whatever, do you have your medication? And how much medication do you have? If it's something that you got to have, you got to have it. Do you have that? You have to think about those things. So water, food, a means to heat, sanitation, cleaning yourself, sanitation, medication. You need those things. You have need, the seasons change. I don't know what time of year things might happen. It could happen. We're coming out of winter now. I know people are still experiencing some winter in some places, but we're coming into spring and into summertime. So if something were to happen in the next 6 months or so, the weather's going to be hotter. But then you're going to roll back into winter. Do you have the ability to heat? What do you have as a heat source? Where I live at, our winter is sporadic. Most of our winter is like the weather's in the 60s and the 70s, and then overnight it's down in the 50s and the 40s. And then 2 or 3 times we'll have a freeze spell where it gets down below freezing. And it may be it gets down below freezing for a couple of days at night, drops down to 30, 29, 28 degrees, and then the next day by 10 o'clock in the morning it's above freezing. And we might have one deep freeze spell where it stays below freezing for a couple of days. This year I think it got down to 19 degrees on one occasion, and it stayed below freezing for like 2 days. But that's where I'm at. You have to gauge where you're at, or where you're going to be at, and what do you need for that. Do Do you have good winter clothing? Do you have a real good coat? Do you have gloves? Do you have something for your head? Put on your head. Do you have a good pair of boots? Like thick socks. Maybe you wear long johns, you got some long johns under your, what they used to call drawers. You have some drawers under your, what you wear. Yeah, and you got to watch out for ticks, yes, and they do carry diseases, and they do, they can get you really sick. You go out in the woods. I can remember being a boy, and we'd go out hunting or whatever, and when we got back, we'd all strip down, everybody look at everybody looking for ticks, you know. And and it's hell getting rid of them when they dig in on you. You don't want to pull the body off and the head's still in you. You know, you gotta know how to get rid of them. Well, for years and years and years, you had these climate mongers, fear mongers, talking about global warming, global warming, global warming. And now they talk about climate change, climate change. And it's like, well, since there's been a climate, it's changed. The climate changes every day. It's constantly changing. The weather patterns change constantly. The circulation changes constantly. The oceans, the streams, like the Gulf Stream, the streams in the ocean, they change constantly. Uh, right now, we're in the process of what they call a pole shift. The poles are moving, and there's going to be a pole shift sometimes in the foreseeable future. And the pole shift's been going on for over 100 years. Poles have been moving for over 100 years. And, fear sells. What they call fear porn, fear sells. Trying to get people to, spend tons of money. And, my thing is, you spend within the budget that you have. If you fear that we're going to get into a major war, well, you don't want to live in a big city, or you don't want to live right next to a large military base. Why? Well, it could get hit. And if it gets hit and you're in the blast zone, you die. Your family dies. So you start looking at, well, where do I live, or where should I live? Yeah, that's right. So, as far as the sun is cyclical. It has a 11-year cycle. And in that cycle, it reaches a high point of output, and it has a low point of output. And it's an 11-year cycle, cyclical. Just like we orbit. We orbit the sun. The sun is orbiting the galaxy. We're in a spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, what they call the Milky Way galaxy, or home galaxy. So, And the other thing is, in our orbit, twice a year, for a period of about 10 days, we pass through, in our orbit around the sun, a meteor, or we basically pass through a stream of rocks out in space. And we do that twice a year for about 10 days. And it's during those periods, primarily, where we have to watch out for something hitting us. Something coming out of the sky, coming down in, through the atmosphere, and either burning out or impacting the Earth. And depending on how big it is and where it hits, it can do some damage. They think that's what 56 million years ago, they estimate, is when a huge rock fell down and basically wiped out 90% of the life on Earth, wiped out the dinosaurs 56 million years ago. It's funny. I Devil Dog Prepper. Good evening, Devil Dog. Thanks for coming in. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. Is my main go-to. I don't do any of the social media. I don't do Twitter or X. I don't do Instagram. I don't do I didn't do MySpace. I don't do Facebook. I don't have Facebook Messenger or any of that crap. I have a cell phone. We used to have a landline. We now, all three of us have cell phones. I have a cell phone. I have a personal email address. I have a work email address. I text. And I do, I watch stuff on YouTube. I have my YouTube channel. I have a backup channel. My backup channel is 35 subscribers. I really don't post stuff on it. I use it to store items that I put out on my main channel. I have them backed up in private mode on my backup channel. I have released 3 videos and maybe 9 or 10 shorts on my backup channel just to have some stuff on it. But I basically transfer stuff in private mode, and if something were to ever happen and I felt like it, I would probably start releasing it on my secondary channel, which technically is called David Lynn Be Prepared, or I basically do I basically say it's a taco talk, but it's registered as David Lynn Be Prepared. My primary main channel is David Lynn Prepper Principle, so and I will basically use that channel sometimes to give watch hours, to give views to people. I'll run a playlist, and I'll give people watch time on it. Yes, that's true, Wayne. It is believed somewhere in the neighborhood of 12,000 years ago, something large fell out of the sky and hit the North American the ice sheet, which was a couple of miles thick at the time. And it basically wiped out most everything in North America. And the debris has been found all over North America, Central America, Europe. It really laid down a big carpet of stuff. It really changed the climate. It raised the sea levels several hundred feet. And what people, Uh, Graham has put out a lot of stuff on that. Um, Hancock, Graham, they put out a bunch of stuff. You can watch some of their stuff on Joe Rogan. He's had them on. Um, in a lot of stuff. Yeah, it did. And they think that that's related to the biblical, the flood, the flood, and any of the civilization at the time. There's a lot of stuff underwater. They found a lot of stuff under structures underwater. Um, and you think, well, the only thing that's going to exist from that far back is something that was in stone. Metal would have already rusted out. There would be no traces of metal. So, ships and various things. There wouldn't be any traces of any of that. That far back. Um, it, they found the remains of a wooden structure that's estimated to be about a half a million years old. And I think they found it. They were digging something other, and because of the circumstances of the way the ground was and the moisture content and all this sort of stuff, they found rotted remains of a wooden structure that they estimated to be half a million years old. And you think, well, could they do that back then? Well, yeah, they were bright enough to. They knew how to make fire. They were using stone tools. They were probably using bows and arrows. They had bows and arrows, and they were making clothes and such. They were making needles to sew stuff, and they were sewing clothes. So, who's to say they couldn't use their primitive technology and basically build a wooden structure? You think they all lived in caves? But they found something they estimated half a million years old. Yeah, Atlantis and Lemuria. Lemuria is another one. Lemuria was supposed to be out in the Pacific. Atlantis is supposed to be somewhere in the Atlantic, or in the Caribbean. Yeah, no, not the Caribbean. The Mediterranean. Mediterranean. Well, they there was a culture prior to the Mayans called the Olmecs. It's believed, and there was another culture in South America, and they were like ancestors of the Incas and the uh, the Mayans and the Toltecs and you know the Aztecs and the Olmecs. And a lot of the stuff that they left behind, they're starting to do more archaeology and digging and such and uncovering stuff. A lot of the stuff is they've got similar images in different parts of the world. So yeah, that's true. Wayne, I'm glad you're looking at the same stuff I am. You probably know more about it than I do. I haven't done any serious research into that. I mean, I watch stuff like um, I watch clips of stuff, and they talk about that kind of stuff. But at any rate, uh, you got to be prepared, and you got to be able to prepare for contingencies, and you got to look at um, what do you have and what do you need. If the power goes off, how do you replace it, or what takes its place? Do you have some Do you have some lanterns? Are you going to be burning kerosene lanterns? Do you have plenty of wicks and kerosene? Matches to light them? So you got light at night? You know, back in the days before electricity, people would basically rise with the sun and they'd tend to go to bed. You know, they'd be indoors and go to bed when the sun went down. They'd get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning before the sun came up, and they'd be in bed, you know, right after sundown. And I'm thinking a lot of that would probably go back to that, you know, go back that way if we had some serious, you know, outages and such. So I'm in the process of trying to get together a library for, you know, emergency library, or, you know, just something other I can read and study paper wise. That way, you know, if you don't have the internet, you still have a means to acquire knowledge. I'd like to get a good set of used encyclopedias. I need to look for encyclopedias. Want to buy a set of, if I get something like around the year 2000 or whatever. I mean, I know everything that's happened in the last 20 years, but something other, you know, doesn't have to be a brand new, you know, right up to date. And I am planning on getting back in to my goodie boxes. I'm planning on sending KP Heaven will be the next recipient as soon as I can get a. I need to. I don't know why. I get lots of stuff, and I get, you know, multiples of stuff, and I've only been buying a couple of the boxes at a time, and I guess I ran out, so now I need boxes. I probably need. If they come in, I probably need to buy about 10 of them. They're not that expensive. Um, yeah, that was something that I used to enjoy reading. Um, you get a one of the courses I took, you know, when I was getting my history degree. I took a course on Mexican history, and it had a real nice. And I gave up those. I don't know why I don't have those books, but I got rid of a lot. I didn't keep a lot of the books that I had, and I had a real good history book, and I sold it back, and it had a lot of stuff on pre-Columbian, you know, it had a lot of stuff on pre conquest. Yeah, Graham Hancock. Um, he's a journalist, and he's been very interested in that kind of stuff. And he's a lot of the academic community. They consider him a quack, but then a lot of the stuff that he's been saying, they're proving now. They're finding it and they're proving it. And, you know, and they don't want to eat cheese, you know, over it. They don't want to eat cheese over it. They just want to bull their way through. Hey, Mr. Whistle, thank you for coming in. Welcome. I don't want to get into politics. I don't want to scare off. There's only a few people in here right now. Hopefully, I don't scare you off. But I was very pleased at the Supreme Court today. They came up with a 9-0 ruling that, you know, it's illegal to put a candidate off the ballot. They could not put Trump off the ballot. This insurrectionist story that they've been trying to stick to him, saying he's in violation of the 14th Amendment for insurrection, which, you know, 9-0. The 3 liberals were with the 6 others. And a lot of times it's a 5-4 because the Chief Justice a lot of times votes with the liberals. But it was a 9-0, and they basically said that, you know, a state does not have the right to put a candidate off the ballot. So that should knock out those others, because I think a couple other states where they wanted to try to pull that, and then that idiot traffic court judge in Illinois decided to unilaterally say, well, he can't be on the ballot here either. And that should cut that crap out. And I think that really deals a blow with that insurrectionist crap they're trying to accuse him of, and they want to try him in Washington, D.C. I mean, they've targeted the guy. They got him targeted for different things. And that's just like that Fani Willis crap, that Nathan Wade, Fani Willis crap you've been hearing about for the last 3 weeks or so. I think that's going to fall. It's going to go south, you know. So I think that's going to drop out. And what it's going to come down to, I think, is it's going to basically come down to the election, who wins. And I don't know that both of them are going to be on the ballot, you know. Biden's what, 81, 82 years old. What I keep hearing is they say that they're going to drop him off and they're going to put somebody else on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And that's a good idea. I'm going to write that down. Thank you for that, little lone prepper. Making notes. Making notes. Thank you so much. Wayne, you know, I have no idea what that guy's. He talks to dead people that've been dead for 30 years. You know, he has conversations. You know, with people who aren't there. Eight in the house, 13 likes. If you haven't left a like, please leave a like to support the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. So, I've been ordering, just so that just to mention, we're going to start emergency airdrops to Gaza with food, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be basically dropping pallets of humanitarian daily rations, which is something that they give out. And I have been purchasing cases of humanitarian daily rations, and you can get a case right now for $35 or $36. The ones I've been getting in have been in very good condition. And you get 10 24-hour rations. They don't have Flemish ration heaters, which don't work worth a damn anyway. And they don't have beverages. But the components in them would keep a person going for, you know, if there's 4 of you, and if you had 4 cases, then that would be a 10-day supply of food for each of you, and you're talking about $140 for 4 cases. You know, you got to look at it like that, and then you have other things to supplement. Well, they want Nikki Haley to be sort of like a Ross Perot, to siphon off some of the Republican vote to prevent Trump from getting elected. They want her to be a spoiler, you know. And well, yeah, the solar maximum. I have not been paying attention to the cycle, where we're at in the cycle, but there's, you know, it's an 11-year cycle, and you go from, you know, minimum to maximum to minimum every 11 years. It's a cycle. And then the other thing is that, you know, when your output is up towards the peak, and, you know, you look at, well, you get these solar flares, you know, there's eruptions and flares, and they shoot off out into space, and most of them are not aimed directly at Earth, so we don't get hit. I mean, we're monitoring them, you know, so we know when something's coming, and we sort of know where it's going, but we don't normally get hit with it. But there have been occasions when stuff is, you know, comes our way, and it's knocked out, you know, it's deactivated and knocked out satellites. You know, it's like an electromagnetic pulse. The sun's putting out a pulse, you know, and that happens. Idaho Garden Girl, welcome. Appreciate you coming in. I will ask, if you have not had a chance to, I put out a couple of videos recently. They're short. The most recent one I put out is basically an extended shout out for Alan Sato, Die Bullfrog 79, Uncle Al. And it's some images of, you know, him holding up a little cardboard sign, basically shouting out my channel, with different clothes and different hats on, headwear, and I pieced it together with some music. It's 2 minutes long. If you haven't had a chance to, please look at it and leave a like and a comment. It'll be greatly appreciated. And then I did a 5-minute one that which was my haul over at Sam's Club. I spent $464, some change, on items, and I took shots of everything. I put it together with music, and I think you'd like it. I've got a couple of shorts up. One short that I put up is school food. I take pictures of my plates. The other short I put up is food. My wife prepped food from home, and I put music to it. And I'd appreciate if you'd leave a like and a comment on those shorts to support the channel. Mike Crusher Reviews, welcome, Mike. I watched a video this afternoon, Ready Rations. He did a 19, oh, it was a 20 odd year old ration. And it was one he did, I think it was about 13 minutes. And it was a artificial patty with a couple of wheat breads and a brownie, which he really enjoyed the brownie. I enjoyed the video. The bread had went stale. One, it wasn't stored properly. It was stored in high heat for a while, so it went bad. Some of the components were good, but some of the components, like the bread items, went bad. The charms went bad. The tea was good, the brownie was good, and the patty was good. And then the cranberries weren't that good, you know. But they weren't stored properly. But you store in, you know, you have stuff you store properly, it'll be good 20 years, you know. And I know I think I'm one or two behind on you, Mike. I'll get to them very soon, and I'll probably leave about 3 comments on each one. So I always say, you know, treat people the way you want to be treated, and support those who support you. Lead by example. A good leader has to be a good follower. I watched a video on YouTube, and it spoke about it's about 750 years ago, when the Muslim caliphates were on the move, trying to conquer Christianity and up into Europe. And a man by the name of Charles, well, they called him Martel, which basically translates a hammer. Charles the Hammer, who was a Frankish German nobleman whose land was in France and Germany, and, you know, pretty good land that he ruled. He met the Muslims at I think he met them at Tours. I think it was at Tours. And he met them on high ground. They had him outnumbered. They met him on high ground. And he had, like, on the edge of a forest, but on high ground. So they didn't know how many troops he had. And he mainly had foot. He didn't have much cavalry. And they attacked him, and he beat the crap out of them. And that pretty much stopped the incursions conquering up into Europe. And then over another couple hundred years, they basically run the rest of them out of, you know, run them out of Spain, Portugal, back into North Africa. But, you know, turning points, things that happened, learning from things that happened, that's important. Good night, Holly. Thank you for coming in. And thank you for your advice. I'm going to check on that. Library. 15 likes, 8 in the house. Yeah, well, he basically saved, he saved, he basically saved Northern Europe. And, that was one of those turning points. I mean, what would have happened during the Civil War if Lee's plans for his northern campaign hadn't been found? Somebody left his plans, I think, in the crook of a tree, along with some cigars, and somebody found him and turned him in, and they sort of knew what his campaign was going to be like. They say, at Gettysburg, he was sick. He had fever, he had dysentery, he wasn't really himself. And that insisting on Pickett's charge, which broke them, that was this big boo-boo. And, just things that happened. Things that have happened. Yeah. So it's important that you make a list of what you need, have an inventory of what you have, and then prioritize your needs ahead of your wants. What do you absolutely need? And then start shopping it. A lot of times you can buy stuff on sale, clearance. You can find stuff used. You can find stuff new. Estate sales, garage sales, yard sales, Goodwill, Salvation Army, the newspaper want ads, church bulletin boards. You go to some of the bigger churches. They'll put stuff, people list stuff on their bulletin boards. But yeah, that was so sad about Stone. What happened with Stonewall is, they got out ahead, and they were out scouting, and was coming back, and it was like getting dark, and got shot by his own people. And then he would have lived. They didn't have antibiotics, and he got sepsis. That they took his arm, because that's what they did back then, and he died like a week or so later. Fever, sepsis, and that really hurt. Losing him really hurt. Yeah, that did. That hurt. Losing Jeb Stuart really hurt. Jeb Stuart. That hurt. Another one hurt. So I believe in the Boy Scout motto, be prepared. Scout motto's to be prepared. You gotta prep. You gotta be prepared. I say this all the time, and that's what that's basically what it stands for, is preparedness. Life is good, but it is what it is. Things happen. Storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, winter, freezes, broken pipes, power outages, water outages. You got to be prepared for stuff like that. And as FEMA will tell you, you need to have at least a week's worth of food and water for each person's with you. You got to be prepared. And at this point, I'll basically tell y'all to have a blessed day. And I will try to be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time for another edition of Coffee Talk. Thank you for coming. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end right now. Take care.